episode 1222, Understanding Food Sensitivities.
It's time to train for life and love your journey. In this episode of Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie, you'll learn new ways to rediscover, rejuvenate, and renew your mind, body, and spirit. Please welcome your host, certified life coach, personal trainer, and nutritionist, Christiane Wargo.
Happy day. It is Wellness Wednesday. Put on your healthy hat. It's time to tip it off to Understanding Food Sensitivities. I got a really good gut feeling about this one. For those of you who are brand new to Create Your Now, welcome to this incredible family. I'm so delighted of your presence. If you already haven't had the opportunity, you want to head on over to createyournow.com where you can learn more and to sign up for the Kisses newsletter, the Keep It Simple strategy, everyday solutions to live, love, and impact. Well, food can be very powerful in your health as medicine, or it can make you sick. We've probably been on both sides. Have you? I know I have. Understanding food sensitivities will help you live a healthier life. Now, your body requires many nutrients, most of which comes from food, with the exception of supplements. You're probably using some already, like vitamins, protein powders, etc. Keep in mind, though, that it's real whole foods that is the key to your health. But what happens when you make decisions to eat foods that do not serve your body? Guilty as charged. Like processed foods, foods high in sugar. Yeah, those are just to name a few. I'm guilty of, root beer floats. But that's for another episode. Or maybe you were eating really good foods, clean eating, right? You're eating healthy foods, raw foods, you're getting in your fruits and your veggies. You're eating clean, yet you're still having issues with various symptoms like inflammation, bloating, ache, swelling, brain fog, and migraines. Now, you may not be the only one who's experiencing this in your family. Maybe it's a child. Maybe it's your husband. Food can add to the healthy you, or it can leave you hurting for something different. That's when understanding food sensitivities becomes vital to your health. Now, before we go into the three main types when it comes to food sensitivities, we have a word from our sponsor, Health, Hope, and Inspiration. Health, Hope, and Inspiration with Reverend Percy McCrae was created by Cancer Treatment Centers of America to provide cancer care information and resources to the faith-based community. There you will find interviews with leading oncology professionals, dietitians, nutritionists, pastors, and everyday people who share their life experiences with cancer. Each program is designed to encourage your heart, educate your mind, strengthen your body, build your faith, and give you hope. You'll want to listen each week by subscribing to the podcast at healthhopeandinspiration.com. So we've got these three main areas when it comes to food sensitivities, okay? One actually is a food sensitivity, but let me tell you what they are. Number one is food allergies. Number two, food intolerances. And number three, food sensitivities. Now, a lot of us are very quick to say, I've got a food allergy. Well, maybe after listening to the definition, you may start changing your language in how you say, I have this. Number one, food allergies. They are correlated with the immune system and can have the most serious reaction. Maybe you've experienced it, maybe you haven't. Praise the Lord, I have not had this. And some of these, symptoms and reactions are rashes, itching, hives, swelling, difficulty breathing, That's not where you want to be. And typical examples of this that you're familiar with, peanut allergies, egg allergies. When you have a food allergy, you exhibit a physical reaction. Basically, they go hand in hand. So that's number one, food allergies. Number two, when it comes to your food and how you react to it, it's called food intolerances. And these are usually a result of enzyme deficiencies. Now, these intolerances can lead you on a roller coaster ride. The body can react in a variety of ways when irritated by certain foods. Inflammation can show up immediately or take as long as 3 days. I call it the lion and the lamb effect. It comes in roaring like a lion and gets you immediately, or it's quiet and soft and it kind of creeps in slowly and gently, but then there you have it. I've experienced this myself. I know there are certain foods for me that when I eat them, in less than 15 minutes, my stomach is in knots. And if it's a certain food, you can hear it growl and howl like wolves. I mean, it's just like, it's just horrible. It is not fun at all. When you are having reactions like this, that doesn't mean you have a food allergy. Most likely you have a food intolerance. And that's where you eat a certain food and your body says, I can't do this. I don't know what to do with this. It sees it as a foreign body. Remember, when we eat, our eyes may see a cupcake, but our body says it's sugar. When we eat, our eyes may see an apple, but our body says it's sugar. It's a chemical reaction. It doesn't know that you're eating good. It doesn't know that you're eating bad. What it knows is that it's chemistry involved. And so your body says, oh, it's not presenting with something that I'm familiar with, or no, I don't like what's being given to me right now. And so I'm thinking of it as a foreign body, and so I'm going to attack it. And the last thing we want our body to do is to go to battle for us every single day. We don't want our digestive system at war. We don't need our immune system fighting always for us because it thinks there's something bad. But that's what's happening a lot of times in your food intolerances. Okay, it's kind of the middle of the road. You've got your food allergies, that's your extreme. Food intolerances, middle of the road. And then number 3, your food sensitivities. These are more difficult to pinpoint. You know, you can have just tiny amounts of these foods and they may or may not cause the symptoms. But when they do occur, they are definitely a lot less severe than allergies. Yet you still can experience symptoms like inflammation, bloating, brain fog, digestive problems. Those still all can exist, but it's nothing like an actual food allergy. Remember, your food allergies, the number 1, usually comes backed with a medical doctor saying, this is it, you meet all of these requirements. Okay, it's a checkoff list. And they say, yep, you've got all of this. And so they tell you you have a peanut allergy. Okay, peanut allergies, you probably already know in school systems, almost in all of them, you cannot bring anything in that has peanuts, or you can't bring snacks in that have anything that possibly can be linked to peanuts just because of there are so many peanut allergies out there. Now, yes, there's arguments. I'm going to say it right now because you're probably already thinking it. Well, what if they really aren't real? Okay, there are arguments that go to both sides of that, but we're not talking about that on this episode. I want you to understand food sensitivity so you can better understand the health and how to manage your body, okay? Now, when you're looking at these 3 and you're saying, okay, I've got these food sensitivities, I'm not sure, I'm having reactions to food. Really, it's kind of weird to use the word sensitivities when that kind of falls under one of the main 3 categories. So let's talk about it as you're having a reaction somehow. And that reaction is either an allergy, an intolerance, or a sensitivity. Okay. When you know these and you can quote unquote label them, you can then better manage your health. How do you do that? Well, I got a good gut feeling about it. Yes, you got to watch what you eat. That is your KISS, the Keep It Simple strategy. Watch what you eat. I can remember my grandma always saying, honey, what you put in your mouth? Well, yeah. You got to watch what you eat. She had a few other things that she would say to me about food. Very interesting. But she was a very, very wise woman. And what you eat and what you put in your mouth has a complete effect on your entire well-being. Let me give you an example. I can eat certain foods, especially ones that are laced with sugar. Oh boy, do I love sugar, but sugar hates me. And I can enjoy something, and all of a sudden, about maybe 15, 20 minutes later, I kind of feel like I need a nap. I'm kind of feeling groggy. Now, this doesn't happen when I eat foods that my body likes. But man, I put in that sugar and it's like, whoa. And some people are like, that's so weird. Yes, I know I'm weird, but that's my body. And it's taken me years to understand where my body is, and I'm still learning. I'm at a point right now today, as I'm recording this for you, that I am working on even fine-tuning my body even more. Because as you grow in age, as you grow in wisdom, and you add years onto your body, what? It matures. And so therefore, your chemical, you'll have different chemical imbalances. Can hormones be affecting this? Yes, I believe they can. Now, I got to tell you this. There are a lot of studies out there, and we can get lost in the studies. And so today, what I'm giving you, this simple KISS, watch what you eat, is just a foundation for you. You can go out there and find any study you want to match up with what you believe. Okay, I can find it and I can say, oh, here, this supports it here. And we can come up with something else and this supports it here. But what you need to be concerned about is what supports you and your body. And that's what matters. So let's take it down to the fundamental basics, okay? This is where we're breaking it down. The KISS, watch what you eat. Number 1, you got to do a food journal. And in this food journal, and I would recommend that you do it for 7 days. I know that's a long time, but most of us, I can say probably over 90%. If you're listening to me, you're probably listening to me on a device of some form or fashion, and a lot of it comes from a phone, and I'm in your ears. Guess what? There's a note app on your phone. Open that up and set yourself up for a food journal. Now, at first, it's going to be weird because you're going to be like, I can't remember to write down what I ate. If you're better at pen and paper, go to pen and paper. I know when I did this personally years ago, I did pen and paper. It worked for me. Do what works for you. There's no law here, except that you got to keep a food journal. You have to. And what you want to do in that food journal is you want to write down the food, and I want you to write individual items. Now, if you're eating something that's kind of, mashed in together, let's say you make a soup, okay? That soup contains all sorts of things. So you need to label it as a soup and put in there the ingredients that were within the soup that you ate. If it's a particular, like if you eat a processed food, let's say you eat chicken nuggets and it's Tyson chicken nuggets. I'm not saying they don't sponsor this program, but I'm just using them as an example. Let's say you eat Tyson chicken nuggets, then write that down, because believe it or not, everything that you eat, processed foods, things that are frozen, etc., they are made differently. They'll have different ingredients within them. So if it's kind of like, let's say it's lasagna, and if you made the lasagna, that's great. You know your recipe. You don't have to list everything on there. But if you tried a new recipe and you put in maybe pork and sausage and hamburger, let's say, for example, I don't know, 3 different kinds of meats. And instead of using ricotta cheese, you decided to use cottage cheese. Okay, write that down, because that's different than the norm. You need to understand that. So keep the food journal, write it down, all of it down. What kind of vegetable you ate, if it was a salad, what did you put on it, etc. If it's the same thing over and over again, then you don't have to be that specific. But if you're changing it up and you eat a different type of salad with a different meal, or if you have wine one night and you don't another night, you need to notate it. Okay, very, very important. Then I want you to keep track of the immediate reaction. If you have an immediate reaction, you need to write that down. If all of a sudden you're like, whoa, man, I'm hot all of a sudden, and it's totally cool in your house, and it doesn't have to do with your age and that you're going through menopause, and you're not sitting there without air conditioning because it's 90 degrees outside, then you need to take note of that. Okay, it's important. So write down the immediate reactions if you have any, and then ask yourself, how did it make you feel? Afterwards. It could be 20 to 30 minutes. It could be 4 hours later. Did it give you energy? Did you feel like, oh, this is great? Or did you feel like you were kind of groggy and you needed to take a nap? Those are all important points, okay? Because then that leads us to number 2. You have to find the commonalities in the foods that you eat. And you do this by looking at your food journal. So the more accurate your food journal is, the more accurate you will be able to find the commonalities, which will lead you to what? How food reacts with your body. And ultimately, that's what you're trying to do. It's a fun treasure hunt. You're on a scavenger hunt, and it's awesome. It's going to seem tedious at some times, but you can do this. So find the commonalities. For example, maybe you're looking at it and you're going, oh, man, I noticed here that, well, cheese kind of just made, I don't know, I just had a hard time going to the bathroom, and I ate eggs, and, oh, not a good thing. And then I had some milk and cookies, and, oh, that's, okay, do you notice something here? We have a lactose intolerance possibly going on here, right? You've got the cheese, the eggs, and the milk. So that's something to kind of go, whoop, whoop, red light, pay attention to it, okay? It's your first clue. Another example is maybe pasta and breads. If you find out that, like for me, sugar, and you get groggy and you're like, gosh, why all of a sudden do I feel tired? I just had a great sub sandwich. And then, oh, I don't know why I feel kind of groggy. It's only 6:00 in the evening. We had pasta for dinner. Okay, red flag, red alert, right? It's pasta and breads. Maybe you're having an issue with sugar and how your body deals with it as a lot at one time. Because if you eat pasta, think about it. Read how many carbs are in that pasta. There's a lot coming at your body at one time. And so maybe that doesn't do your body well. So, really find those commonalities by looking through your food journal. Number 3, go into an elimination diet if you so choose. You don't have to do this. But some people, it's hard for them to figure out what is really bothering them. So you can take out foods that you believe are affecting your body. And I would recommend 7 days. I like the number 7. There's lots of reasons why I like the number 7. But I would say go with at least 7 days. If that's too long for you, go for 3 days. Okay, at least 3 days for an elimination diet. Take out the foods that you think are bothering you. Keep the food journal during the time that you are off of it. And then you add in one food, not one food group, but one food. So if you took out eggs and you're going to add back in eggs, and you're only going to add in eggs, don't add in everything else on top of it. Okay? It's just one thing that you're adding in. Keep track of it and then look at the results. Okay? It's going to vary. Who knows? Maybe nothing will happen and then you'll think you're crazy. But this is just a fundamental basic for you, because then what you do when you have this information, you can then go to your medical provider and say, look, this is what I'm discovering. These are the symptoms I'm having, along with whatever else. And then they can, if need be, they can order the right test. They can talk to you about some options, etc. That opens up a broader door for you instead of just going in and saying, I don't feel good. This is what I'm having. And all your symptoms fall under everything under the sun. That doesn't help anybody, and it definitely doesn't help you, and it's a waste of your time. And that's the last thing that you want. So work on this. Watch what you eat. Journal your food. Find the commonalities and use the elimination diet. Now, number 4, I want to recommend to you that when you are eating, and if you tend to have issues with food, I want you to eat with color. This gives you a variety in your diet, meaning that your plate should not be of all the same color. Have you noticed, like if you have mac and cheese and chicken nuggets and a piece of bread that you've buttered, and you notice they're all kind of the same color? Not a good sign, okay? So I want you to eat with color. So if you're going to have mac and cheese, then you better have some green on it, and then maybe you should have some red there, not just all kind of yellowy stuff. Got it? All right. So eat with color, and that's on behalf of my grandma. I tip my hat off to her because she always told me, honey, eat a colorful plate. It'll do your body good, and I still remember that. Number 5, I know you know this, but we all need to be reminded all the time. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Think of this as a good flush for your body always. If we don't have good fluids coming in. No, I'm not talking about fluids with caffeine. I'm not talking about your wine. I'm not talking about your coffee at your favorite restaurant. No, I'm talking about your straight H2O. Our body needs it. It cannot live without water. You've got to replenish with water. So hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Okay? If anything, when you're doing this whole process, try to add in more water to your diet. And sometimes actually people have found that I've worked with that by hydrating more, their body actually works better because they were working under dehydration. Not significant where you have to go to the hospital and you need a saline drip and all this stuff. No, not that type of emergency. But a lot of us just aren't drinking enough water, that we're walking around dehydrated, and our bodies don't, we're under this whole thing of, I just have to survive. And if your body feels like it has to survive all the time, what does that mean? It's always fighting. And when it's always fighting, that means what? You're always under stress. When you're always under stress, cortisol's high. That means what? Possible weight gain. And it's not good, especially for women. It's not good for our visceral fat. Yes, the fat around our tummies. All of this negative, negative, negative. So how can you relieve all of that? Hydrate. Very simple. So you got this. You've got your KISS. Watch what you eat. Journal your food, find those commonalities, use the elimination diet if that will work for you. And if you're like, I can't eliminate like 7 or 8 foods or whatever I think's wrong, then eliminate one and work with that one. And you can introduce it back in. If there isn't any change, then you can try another one, okay? But again, you have to ask yourself, are you worth it? Yeah, you are. So I think it's more than appropriate for you to put this effort into this. So always, again, follow up with your medical provider. Now, if you're wanting some assistance with this, I know it can be tedious and it can be overwhelming. I know when I started it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. And I did it by myself. But I did it and I had a plan of action and I knew what I was doing, basically. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And I just made sure every single time I didn't put the food in my mouth until it was written down. That was just what I did. And yeah, did that add on more time to how I ate and how I planned my breakfast, lunch, and dinners? Of course it did, because I had to write things down to keep track of it. But I'm telling you, the payback is priceless. Yeah, your return on your investment in your health, priceless. But again, if you're overwhelmed with it, I have a free gift for you. It's a coaching call with me. I would love to come beside you and help you in this. I know the struggles because I've been there. I'm rehashing some of it right now as we speak. So for one who's experienced it and has been successful at it, I would love to come beside you. It's my free gift to you, a coaching call. Click on the link, take aim in the show notes, and that will begin our conversation. I so look forward to hearing from you. Now, food sensitivities do not have to stop you from living your life. They don't. You don't need to be afraid of them. But remember, food is fuel. So search out the best fuel for your body. I know you'll find it. Why? Because I've got a gut feeling that you got this. I love you so very much. I cannot wait to see you on the other side. Blessings, hugs, and lots and lots of love. We'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.
Feeling inspired, ready to train for life and love your journey? Visit CreateYourNow.com for more incredible resources to help you along the way. We'll see you next time on Create Your Now, Your Best Selfie. And remember, always be sure you consult your physician before beginning any health and fitness plan.